Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Miwa Fuji, and I will be your host for today. Thank you for joining the webinar today. I will wait one more minute for the remaining registrants to enter the room, and then we will get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Miwa Fuji, and I will be your host for today. We're excited that you've decided to join us. I'll wait 30 seconds more for the remaining registrant to enter the room, and then we will get started. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Miwa Fuji. I work as Terraform Community Manager in the engineering team at Megaport. I'll be your host today for our Megaport live webinar entitled Megaport Plus Infrastructure as Code, IaC, Automating Global Networks at DevOps Speed. Today's topic is about fundamentals of Megaport Terraform provider. The speaker is Mark Austin. One of the goals of this webinar is to make you feel comfortable testing the Megaport Terraform provider in the staging portal environment. Before we start, just a little housekeeping from our end. We are recording today's webinar, and we will post it to Megaport Docs website. We'll have all participants on mute for the duration of the webinar, so please use the QA panel to ask your questions. The QA panel is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You can type question in at any time during the webinar, and we will answer them by reply during or the end of presentation. If you experience any issues with the Zoom, please try logging out and back in. If that does not resolve your issue, please contact Zoom. I will now turn the mic over to Mark. Thank you. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Mark Austin, a pre-sales solution architect at Megaport. I'm based in Sydney, Australia, and I help customers design and architect and deploy Megaport products to build cloud connectivity and data center connectivity, amongst other things. So today we're going to be talking about the Megaport Terraform provider. And we are going to walk through just taking a look at the agenda. We're going to talk about, or just go over a little bit about Megaport, about Terraform, and about the Megaport Terraform provider and what that is. We're going to walk through how to get started with Megaport. So from creating an account to getting up and running with Terraform. And then we're going to walk through some deployment examples, modifying, destroying environments using Terraform. And then we're going to finish up with just a QA. But you can put questions directly into the QA through Zoom, and we'll answer those throughout the session. So thanks for joining. A couple of useful resources. So first one is Megaport Docs page, specifically about the Megaport Terraform provider, and the Megaport GitHub repository, so specifically the Terraform provider. So a couple of resources there that you can scan those if you like, if you wanted to follow along during this session, but I'll be referring to those during this session. So what I'm going to do here is just jump out of the slides. So we're just going to be using the docs, Megaport docs page, and also Terraform directly from now on. So just taking a look at Megaport docs. So to get access to the docs, you just go docs.megaport.com and it'll bring you to this page. And if you look on the left here, you can see all of our different sections around the Megaport products and managing Megaport. So if you just go to the bottom here and click on Terraform, and we're just going to start here at the overview section. So we're going to talk about what is Megaport, what is Terraform, and the Megaport Terraform provider. So if you don't know about Megaport, Megaport is a global leader in network as a service. It is a global automated network, a private network fabric that spans into 26 countries. So the network is extended into data centers. So we're available in nearly 1,000 data centers globally. So you're going to connect to Megaport in one of those data centers. It is that's a starting point. We also have virtualized services which run on Megaport compute across that fabric. So one of the key points with Megaport is it is based on a cloud consumption model. So you can deploy services, use them for a period of time, and then either change them, so change the speed, for example, or delete the service, say, if you're finished using it. So very much aligned to the cloud service providers in the way you use or can use Megaport. And one of those things is everything you can do with Megaport, you can do either through the Megaport self-service portal. So you can deploy and manage your services directly through that portal, or you can use the Megaport API, or you can use Terraform. So the network's completely automated. And you can use those different methods to deploy and manage the network. So that's where Megaport really stands out from other providers in that space. So a little bit about Terraform. It's an infrastructure as code tool developed by HashiCorp. So it covers a whole range of different environments. So cloud environments like AWS, Azure, Google, etc. So you can deploy everything within those environments using Terraform. You can also deploy a number of different environments, so outside the cloud space, including Megaport. And you can manage your infrastructure through human readable code. So it's high level code that you define your resources and the values of those resources in that code, and you can integrate that code into workflows. So you can deploy, a number of different clouds together, all in one automated workflow. So some of the features of Terraform, it's declarative. So you don't have to write low-level code. It just follows a very high-level, simple to follow step-by-step instructions. It also is cloud agnostic, or it's vendor agnostic tool. It allows the provisioning and management of all your infrastructure, so you're not doing things manually. It also has state management, so it keeps the state of all of your environments, so you can use that to manage and back up your environments. It also has the ability to modularize code, so you can take modules from other repositories and use that within your code to save you time writing Terraform. So Megaport, and this is what this presentation about, is using the Megaport Terraform provider. And Megaport has written its own provider. So Terraform is a standalone tool, and you need to use a provider for the environment that you want to deploy services on. So Megaport has written that provider. We manage that in-house within Megaport, and it covers all of our products. So you can deploy all of our products, completely automated, and manage your services through that Terraform provider. So what I'll do is just walk through, I guess that's the overview. And now we're just going to look at, when you want to get started with Megaport, how do you get started? How do you design your network? In the docs page, we have a deployment scenarios. And you can see here we have common multi-cloud connectivity scenarios. So this is a good starting point if you're looking to deploy Megaport services. So we have here 1 to 13 different scenarios. And if we look at, say, scenario 1, you can see here, this is about as simple as it gets. You've got a data center, you've got a Megaport fabric port. So that could be a 1, 10, or 100 gig interface that your equipment in that data center is connected to. And then you've got virtual cross connects, which are the point-to-point connection across the Megaport fabric to, in this case, cloud on-ramps. So you've got AWS Direct Connect, Azure Express Route, Google Partner Interconnect, Oracle Fast Connect. So this is a very simplified multi-cloud connectivity scenario from a data center port. And for each of these, it steps up into different products and different resiliency patterns. So you can see this one here. This has the Megaport Cloud Router, which is a virtual router which runs on Megaport Compute. So this is inserted into the topology together with data center ports. So this is providing hybrid cloud connectivity from the data center through the Megaport Cloud Router to the cloud on-ramps. So we step through and all those different scenarios, and you can access this through the Megaport docs page. So that's a good starting point if you're looking at getting started with Megaport. So just taking a look at the real basics around getting started with Megaport. So we'll just scroll back down to the Terraform section if I can find it. Okay. So click on Getting Started, and this will guide you through how to get started with Terraform and Megaport. So first step, you need to understand the Megaport services. So are you connecting to a data center port? You will use virtual cross connects to connect from a data center port to somewhere on the fabric, either another data center port for data center to data center connectivity, or to a cloud on-ramp. Then you've got the Megaport Cloud Router and Megaport Virtual Edge, and they are virtualized either routing or security appliances running on Megaport Compute, and they may be doing cloud-to-cloud connectivity. For SD-WAN, they may be doing branch to cloud connectivity over using the internet to the Megaport Virtual Edge and then connecting to cloud. So there's a number of different patterns which are explained in that multi-cloud connectivity scenarios which I showed earlier. And then you've got Megaport Internet. So Megaport can provide internet to these port MCR or MVE. And the last one there is Internet Exchange. So Megaport operates internet exchanges globally, where we host a number of, we host content delivery networks, ISPs, service providers, etc. So the next step is understanding Megaport portal environments. So Megaport operates two portal environments. The first one is the the production environment. So that is where you will deploy your production services, your real services. The second one, which we'll use in the demo today, is the staging environment. So that is a simulated environment that you can deploy services using for testing. So they're not real services, but you can test your processes, test either API or Terraform against this environment, and you will not be charged for services. You can't break anything, etc. So just giving you a look at what that looks like. to gain access to it, it's portal-staging.megaport.com. The production portal is portal.megaport.com. So you just go to portal-staging.megaport.com and you log in with your production account, your production user account into this environment. And once you log in here, you can see there is a yellow banner across the top to ensure you know you're in the staging environment. So it says here's a non-production environment. And every 24 hours, this environment will sync across the services that you have deployed in your production account. So when you log in here, if you have production services deployed, you will see them here, but they're not real. So you can modify them, delete them, add services to this staging environment. So that's what the staging environment looks like. So just keeping in mind, every 24 hours it syncs across, and every 24 hours it resets to whatever your production services are. So if you add something in here, it won't be there 24 hours later. So just jumping back to the getting started. So you can create an account with Megaport if you just go to megaport.com. And if you go to, I'll just show you what that looks like. If you go to megaport.com and the top right, if you go to login, you can create a new account using this process to start setting up your environment. So you create a production account, and then you can use those credentials to access the staging environment. So that's the first step, create an account. You can add or modify users once you've created the account. So as the first person to create an account is the company admin, and the company admin can create or can add users to that account. So that's all you need to do at a base level to get up and running with Megaport. To use Terraform, we have to create what's called an API key. So to show you what that looks like, we can do that in the staging environment. So staging environment API keys are separate to production. So these are specifically for the staging environment, even though you can use your user login to access both the production and staging environments. So to create the API key, you go to Tools, API Key Generator, and you just give it a name. And to deploy services, make change, delete them, they need to be at company admin level. So to be able to do this, the user also needs to be a company admin. So click Generate Key. You can see there, API key, grab that, copy that out to somewhere, and the API key secret, copy that out. So once you close this, you won't be able to access this secret again. Okay, so we grab the keys to start using Terraform. If we go to the next step here, so you need to install Terraform on your local machine or on a server, wherever you're going to run Terraform. And Terraform docs explain how to do that. There's a number of different ways. There's a number of different options, depending on your OS. So I'm using Mac OS, and to install, I used Homebrew to install and manage or update Terraform. So follow those instructions. And then the next step is you need, obviously, to get started, you need to look at some example Terraform code. And to do that, if you go to the Megaport GitHub page, you can see here under Terraform Provider Megaport, there's an examples folder, and there's a whole list of different examples here that you can use. So we'll click on Virtual Cross Connect Basic, which is what we're going to use today as part of the demo to deploy a port. So a port in one data center, a port in another data center, and connect them together with a virtual cross connect. So I'll walk through this code just in a couple of minutes. The other page which is useful is the Terraform registry page. So we have a look at the documentation for the Megaport provider on this page. You can see here under resources, this is the services you can create using the provider. So if we look at Megaport Port, it provides an example. It also defines what values are required and what are optional. So, and also once you create the service, what data you can abstract out of that service. So this is a useful page also, or a useful site to refer to. And last thing, you need to use a code editor. You don't have to, but it's handy to write the code. I'm using Visual Studio Code with a couple of extensions installed. So I'm using the HashiCorp Terraform extension, and what that allows you to, or what that enables, is marking up of the code. So it knows this is Terraform due to the file name, and it auto completes, it syntax checks, etc. So it's a lot easier to write the code using a code editor such as this one. So I think that's in terms of the overview, all we've got to cover there. What I will do is jump back to the examples on the GitHub page, and we're going to grab this one. So what I might do first is just walk you through getting started in the code editor. So I've created a folder called webinar just on my Mac, and I've created a file called provider.tf. So with Terraform, you can just put everything in one file and run it. That's fine. Or you can break your code out into different files to essentially manage or modularize your code so it's more manageable. Okay. In this case, the provider file outlines the required providers here. So you can see here under required providers, we've got Megaport. We want to use version 138, which is the latest. And you can use also greater than equal sign to say use anything higher or equal to version 1.38. Okay, so we can use that if required. And the next step here is you've got a provider block, which outlines the Megaport specific details to use the Megaport provider. So the first one there is environment, which is staging. So this will point Terraform to use the staging API. So Terraform, underneath Terraform, it's using the Megaport API to do all of this, and we're pointing this particular Terraform code to the staging environment. And this is the access key and secret key, which you saw me create earlier in the portal. So you bring that data here and you enter it as the access key and secret key. And then just by default, you have accept purchase terms true. Okay, I have got set up here just a production environment. So environment pointing production, and I've got the API keys for that environment there set up, but I've got it commented out so it won't run. Okay, so let's create a config here. We'll call it megaport.tf. So specific code for Megaport. And we will jump back to the GitHub page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the code here. I'm not going to take the provider block because we've already got that defined in a separate file. But I will take all of this and we'll copy it in here. Okay. I don't want to ask Copilot anything. So just walking through this, it's pretty simple to follow. So the resource block defines, like I showed you on the other page, you can do a port MCR, Megaport Cloud Router, Megaport Virtual Edge. In this case, it's Megaport Port is the resource, and this is the resource name, so port 1. So this is what's used within Terraform to reference this particular resource. The product name is the description of the port, so we'll call this one Digital Realty LHR 20. And port speed will make that 10 gigs, so 10,000 megabytes. In the data location, we're going to use, there's a couple of ways of doing this. The location ID, you can either use the data block here, the Megaport location data block, to look up the name of the location, and that will produce the location ID. Or in this case, you can enter the value directly, which I know for this location is 88, but I will show you how to get the location ID. So it's best practice to use just the location ID, because the description of a data center can change, but it's rare, but the number won't. So if we just go back to the docs, I will show you how to create or how to find the location ID. So all of the Megaport API information is at dev.megaport.com. And so each of the calls, you can look this up. To get the location, this is the specific call to get a location ID of a data center. So I'll just copy that and take it to a browser. And I'm just going to enter in here. So we're going to build a connection from London to Frankfurt. So I should have covered that earlier, but so this is the starting point. So the data center in London, we're going to look for LHR 20, which is Digital Realty LHR 20. You can see here, this is the Digital Realty London LHR 20, and the ID is 89. So lucky I looked that up. I was thinking it was 88 for some reason. So we'll go back and change that. So 89. The next one here is contract term 1 month. That is basically month by month for the port. So you've got options with terms. You can have month by month, 12 months, 24, 36 months. Marketplace visibility false, which is just the default. And cost center is just a description which appears on the bill, and that's not a required field. So we'll take that out. The port 2, so resource for port 2, we will connect to Equinix FR5 in Frankfurt. So Equinix SR5 in Frankfurt. The port speed will be 10 gig, and we'll use this location ID. Okay, so we'll just call this Equinix FR5. And you can find out this name from portal. So I'll show you what that looks like. If we go back to the portal and we go to create a port and we look at Frankfurt, and we can see here the data center Equinix FR5. So the name there is in bold. That's what you can use in the data block for the location. So we've got Equinix FR5 there, and we're referencing that in the location ID. So Megaport location.loc.id, contract term month by month, and we'll get rid of this cost center here. So we've got the 2 ports, one in London, one in Frankfurt. We now need to connect the 2 ports together using a virtual cross connect, which is just a point-to-point private VLAN across the Megaport fabric between those two data centers. So product name, we can write in here DLR 20 to FR5 VXC. Rate limit, we can set that, say, at 5 gigs, so 5,000 megabits per second, and contract term 1 month. So with virtual cross connects, contract term 1 month means minute by minute. So essentially no term. And then you've got the AN. So this links the port, the AN port to this VXC. So we can see here Megaport port 1 will refer to this Megaport port 1. And the BN will be the port in Frankfurt. So Megaport port 2. So that's linking the two ports together. So we'll just save that. So saving the config, and I think we're good to go ahead and run this. So if we go over to the terminal, I am in the folder where that Terraform files exist. So under here, webinar, if I have a look, I can see here the two files show within that folder. So the first thing to do is you need to initialize Terraform. And we do that to download the Terraform provider. So in this case, the Megaport Terraform provider, and set up the Terraform environment. So you can see here by issuing that command, we've gone ahead and downloaded Megaport Terraform provider version 1.38. Okay. The next step is to check your config. So you can run a Terraform plan against that. And that will show you what's going to be created. And you can see here we've got a port that's going to be created at location ID 89. And we've got a second port, which is going to be created at location ID 131. So before we even run something, Terraform's looked up that location ID and it can see it's 131. And then we've got a Megaport virtual cross connect, which is going to be created between the two ports. So it's all green, it looks good to go. So we'll do Terraform apply. And we will go ahead, so yes. And hopefully all goes well with the demo and it's successful. And we can confirm that while it's deploying, we can confirm that within the portal. So if we jump back to the portal, we should see those two services getting deployed. Okay, cool. So we've got one port here at Digital Realty London LH20, and we've got another port here at Equinix FR5 in Frankfurt. So those two ports are getting deployed on the Megaport fabric in those locations. And if we jump back to the terminal, we can see two ports have been created. And now Terraform is creating the VXC. So Terraform knows at which order to deploy services. So it won't try to deploy everything in one go. It will deploy services in order as required. So even if you're deploying Megaport along with, say, AWS and Azure services, Terraform knows what needs to be deployed first. So everything runs in sequence. And you can see here that the VXC has been created. So it was successful. All three resources were added, and we will see that within the portal. So we just refresh the screen, and you'll see here we now have the port in London connected to the VXC, which extends through to Frankfurt as the B end connected to the port in FR5. And the good thing with the staging portal, the Megaport ports, they come online, so they go green, meaning they have light connected. So you can test your code completely. Whereas with the production portal, if you were to deploy a service such as data center port, it won't be online initially because there won't be any device connected to it. So you can see here everything's up and running, which is great. If we go back to the code editor and say we want to change the code or change the service, right? So we deployed the connection between the data center at 5 gig. Say we want to increase that to 7 gig. So we'll change that to 7,000. Save the code. We jump back to the terminal and just run a plan, Terraform plan on that code. You can see here, Terraform has checked everything in the state file against the Terraform code and can see that a change has been made, which is the rate limit from 5 gig to 7 gig. So we're only going to make a change to the virtual cross connect, nothing else. So we can go ahead and apply that change. And we will say yes to that. So we want to deploy. And that should be a pretty quick change, which we can then check within the Megaport portal. So we jump back and we do a refresh. You can see now the VXC, which connects the two data centers together, has had its speed increase from 5 gig to 7 gig. Okay, so that's how you can make a change with Terraform to your environment. So we've gone through, we've created services, we've made a change. Say now you've been running this for a period of time for a migration, for example, and you want to delete the service. There's a couple of ways to do that. One way you can do is if you want to delete something, you just delete the section, the resource out of your code. So I'll just comment out the VXC in this case. And if we do Terraform apply again, you can see here Terraform is going to destroy the virtual cross connect, so nothing else. So let's run that. It's pretty quick. It's been removed from the environment. So we go back to the portal and take a look at what exists for our services. You will see the virtual cross connect has been removed and we just have the ports remaining. So that's one way you can delete services. The second way is you can, say you've built an environment that you've used for a specific use case and you want to delete all of that environment, you can run Terraform destroy, which will destroy everything within that environment. So you can see here, we only have the 2 ports remaining, so it's just deleted the 2 ports. And if we go back to the portal, you will see those 2 ports have been removed. Okay, so that's how you create, modify, and delete services with Terraform. The only other thing I'm going to run through today is how, say you've already deployed Megaport services and you want to import or you want to start using Terraform. How do you do that, right? So you can import your existing services into Terraform. So say, for example, I've got a Megaport cloud router deployed in London. So this is a virtual router which runs on Megaport compute in this data center, used essentially for connecting multiple clouds together to do multi-cloud routing. Say, for example, you've been running this for a while and you want to start using Terraform. How do you import it? So the first step is grab some example code. So we want to essentially match the code, the values essentially of the Terraform code to what you've deployed. So this is an example code for a Megaport cloud router. We'll take that to our code editor. We can reuse this page. Okay. I'll just delete out the prefix list filter because we don't have that configured on the device, on the virtual router. So we've got resource Megaport MCR, and we'll call it just MCR or MCR1. Okay, and the name I've used on, if we jump back to the portal, the name I've used here is demo MCR, and the speed is 1 gigabits per second. So we'll just enter in here, demo MCR, speed 1 gig, so 1000 meg. We know the location ID is 89 because we just deployed a data center port there. Okay. The other item we have there to fill in is diversity zone. So if we jump back here, we can see it's in the red diversity zone. So that's red. Okay. So if you're not sure which values, whether they're whether it's a string or it's a number, you can refer to that in this page here. So we can see here what's required as a number or a string. Okay. So we've got the base code here that we need to use to import the service. And the next step here is just to get the service ID of the MCR or the UID. So we click on the MCR itself. You can see here you can also grab this from the API, but this is an easy way to do it. You can grab the UID from the portal just by copying that. And we'll go ahead and do Terraform import. The resource is Megaport MCR. It was the resource we referred to it as MCR1_1. We'll just enter the UID there, and that looks pretty good. So let's import that. So Terraform's gone out, queried the Megaport API for that UID, and pulled back the information for that service into your Terraform environment. So if we go back to the code editor, you will see within your folder, you'll have a Terraform state file. And this is what Terraform essentially done. It's pulled in the state of that device or that service from the Megaport account. Okay, so you can see here, Megaport MCR, MCR1, and we've got things like BGP ASN, diversity zone, etc., speed. Okay. So we've got all the data there. You can then start managing the device through this Terraform code instead of the portal. So that's how you import a device. The last thing is if you want to, I will just jump back to the docs page. So just some basic sort of best practices with Megaport, with Terraform, with Megaport. So just in regards to the state file, one is if you want to, for a particular resource, if you want to avoid it getting destroyed, if someone accidentally issued Terraform destroy, it will destroy everything. You can prevent that using this option here, lifecycle prevent destroy true. Okay, under the resource that you want to ensure it doesn't get destroyed. We also have some commands here. So it's Terraform state list, show, and remove. So if you want to remove a particular device from the state file, you can use this command. The other one is, regularly back up your state file. Also look at version controlling your Terraform code with something like GitHub. And the last one here is you do have the option within the Megaport portal to lock services. So you can use this option here to lock a service, and that will avoid it getting deleted. So we're out of time with the demo. I will hand it back to Miwa to close out. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Can you please show the slide 9 about QA? If we missed any questions, we try to reply to you directly, but please feel free to reach out us as well. I posted all contact details into the chat windows as for your reference. And about Megaport telephone provider docs FAQ page. Our docs page on the Megaport telephone provider will be constantly updated to reflect new developments, and this FAQ page may be helpful to answer your questions. And about GitHub, if you are planning to use Megaport telephone provider, please bookmark this page and keep eye on the newest release of the Megaport telephone provider codes and update your provider.tf file as Mark guided today. Any comments, suggestion, please send it to me. Megaport would like to nurture our Terraform users community. We are keen to have your suggestions, ideas for new features, and sharing success stories, and so on. Here is my email address listed. Please feel free to send me your message at any time. Finally, regarding pop-up survey, when you close out of the webinar, a short survey will pop up on the web or on a new tab. We would appreciate if you would complete it. We want to keep engaging with our Megaport telephone provider users, so your input is extremely valuable for us. Mark, please show this slide 10. QR codes are for the Megaport telephone provider docs page and GitHub site. Thank you for taking your time to join us today. I will now close this session. Thank you.